So I generally have no problem of telling people that they should not go into a research career or get a PhD degree. And the problem is that by the time they get into it and they realize what it's about, they will not understand, or they'll be so far along that they will feel one way about it, period. And they might not be enamored with it. The truth is doing research that's credible and reliable takes grinding work. It's a slow, tedious process that few people actually want to do. And when you do it, you will want to quit. You will not want to, you will feel like a failure the whole time. You will feel like you are behind. You'll feel all these negative emotions. And that's the career. That's where you think, like, what the hell did I get myself into? And everybody goes through this, but I think people really need to think about whether they're serious about doing the career or not. This was a question that was asked of me by one of my advisors, and it took me back. I'm like, um, and it still rings in my ears. I can still remember the moment that was like 20 years ago at this moment. Or almost 20 years ago, where he asked me, "Are you serious?" And I kind of knew what he was talking about, right? Could sort of forecast this, but I kind of didn't in terms of, how much grinding work that it's actually involved and what you have to do to build a career. Um, and the truth is at that time, I was probably more serious than most people. Um, and that's why I probably was attracted to what he was doing or what they were doing at the time, um, was because they were very serious about doing the work. And once you get into it, you realize a whole bunch of people are not, and they're using it as career advancement, playing around, doing things where, frankly, that it doesn't mean that much to them, right? The career advancement means far more than the actual knowledge that you're creating. And it's this real switch that you have to make where you think, I'm going to create reliable, valid knowledge and I'm going to be serious about this. And yes, yeah, I'm playing around and all that kind of stuff that I'm sort of suggesting or I talk about on this channel, but at the same time, it's very serious to do things that are credible and reliable. And if you're serious about things, you will discount the rest of it that happens. And you'll remove yourself from the situation where you're like, I am just not going to play around with any of those games, to some degree, right? Like within the bounds of what you can do, and then you discount the rest, right? Like when you go through where you don't get a job, where you maybe don't get the pay that you should get versus, being in industry where you're sort of thinking about this stuff all the time. When you're doing all of these things and you really internalize that, are you serious? You'll realize that you're making a tremendous amount of sacrifice. And then you will discount the rest of it, right? Like you're like, I'm doing okay at this moment, and I'm not going to pay attention to the rest of the garbage that goes on. And the only way that you could do that is if you're actually serious about it. If you simply just ignore the rest of it and you just get to work, right? Like it's very much this. I don't know if you've ever heard or seen David Goggins, right? You just get up and get going, and there's not really any excuses, and you realize that, man, life is shitty, right? Like a lot of it's pretty shitty, and you just go, you get up, you try, you do one more step every day, and you forget about the rest of it, right? You just forget about all of that stuff. You kind of push that stuff aside and you get going. right? And so I have no problems telling people that they should not do a PhD degree or get into research, or discount people. I am getting a very much better sense of who these people are, and you realize like most people are not serious about it, and they frankly just don't care, right? And that's where you get into trouble in the long run because you're just not being serious about the whole profession. You either leave, or like you are doing things where you're doing shortcuts to get ahead, all those kind of things. There's a very real phenomenon that goes on, and I realize I'm so completely understanding about you got to ship a product, but you also have to be serious about it, right? I think like the companies, the organizations that do well, um, they are often very serious about a particular thing, right? Like Apple is very serious about design and doing things meticulously well and thinking through all these sort of choices. And I want you to sort of think about that. Are you serious about your profession? Are you serious about what you are interested in? And if the truth is no, right? And some, like I think that is fair game at any given time, and there's nothing wrong with it. But just know you're not going to want to stick with something for a long time. You're not going to want to do that. You're not going to get up. You're not going to go through all of the grinding work that is required. And once you're serious, come back and talk to me, and then we can have a conversation. But until you're serious, quit wasting my time. And I think once you start like realizing that it's more about let's just be damn serious about this thing, get her going, um, things change. And you're willing to commit, you're willing to do a lot of interesting things. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.